guys, welcome back to the show. It is Friday evening. I got I got about an hour and a half of light left. Came down here to my parents in Missouri to start working on this deck you can see behind me. So the first step is to get my footings in, and couple issues here. My parents live out in the middle of nowhere, so it's really difficult to get concrete. Secondly, the location of this is down behind their house. This is a walkout basement, so to get a concrete truck in here, I would have had to bring my concrete bucket down, and it would only have been about 1.5 yards. So what I've chosen to do is use Perma Columns, which are the 6x6 precast 10,000 psi concrete posts with the bracket built into the top. So I only have 5 of them. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get this laid out, get my holes marked, and then drill them. So this porch is going to be about 40 foot long, and it's going to be out 12 feet, and it's going to be, a second story deck, and then the walkout will be behind it here. So I'll get some pan shots so you can kind of see what we're talking about. But I've got my green line laser set up along this board, ledger board there, where I want it, and then I put a mark out about right there where I want the end of my beam to be. And so now I can get my string line put up and get this all marked out, and hopefully probably won't get them set today. It's supposed to rain tomorrow afternoon, but I can at least get everything marked and ready to go for the morning. You can see right there, that is where the outside edge of my beam is going to be. So I got the laser going across there, and then I got the laser running right along the edge, even all the way across, so that I know that I am running nice and square. Alright, so I figured out we're about 1/2 inch out of square where this little, it's actually got a hot tub in it, but it's like a screened in room. Probably 1/2 inch out of square with the house, but that's not bad. So I got my laser set up exactly where I want it, so we're going to mark our batter boards, put our string line up, and then we can figure out where we want our holes at. So that right there, you can see we're about maybe 3/8, 1/2 inch off, which I'll take it, I guess. Can make my dad cut all these weird angles. Alright, this is one good thing about working late, is your lasers show up real good. We got this all to where we want it. So now we just got to run our string lines, mark our holes, and then in the morning we can drill them and set our perma columns, which we'll talk about tomorrow. Alright, we got all our holes laid out and dug. Problem is, it is so dry that I can't get the last foot of dirt out because it's just so fine it's falling off the auger. So we're going to get the water hose, wet these down, and then I should be able to get the rest of that out. They do make a product if you live in a place where it's sandy ground. I forget what it's called. I'll look it up and leave a link to it, but it's a bag of stuff. You can pour it in your hole, add some water, and then as you drill, it grabs all that fine stuff and actually helps form your hole as you bring it out. They use a lot in places where the ground is sandy or there's lots of rocks, stuff like that, but we need these about 1 foot deeper, and it's just all that fine stuff staying in there, so we got to get it out of there. Alright, so we added a little bit of water to these holes, and that pretty much solved our problem. It was just wet enough that it would stick to the auger then. We got it cleaned out, so now I'm just going to compact them with my hand compactor, and then I'm going to get my laser out, and we're going to add a little gravel to whichever ones we need to get them perfectly even, and then we can set our footing pads in, put our string line back up, and set the perma columns in. So we're using 6x6 precast 10,000 psi perma column. It's a concrete 6x6 column with the bracket attached to it. Rebars run all the way to the end. So we're just going to set those up against our string line, pull our tape to make sure we're on the center 8-foot centers that we want, and we should be good to go. We're going to put rock around them instead of the dirt, And then once that's all done, we'll get all this dirt out of here. We're just going to shovel it into the bucket and take it out of here. Alright, so I'm going to use the LAR 350 Stabila laser level, and we're going to get all the bottoms of these holes to match within ½ inch. So we're going to do that by just adding a little bit of gravel and compacting. That's going to go down 3/8. I mean, I'm going to need some on the other side of this hole. Gotta be even probably about with that over there. I know, honey. I'm sorry. Alright, so we added a little bit of gravel. We found the highest one, and then added a little gravel to each one to get them all exactly the same. We got our string line up. We marked the edge of our columns. So now we are going to go ahead and put our uplift brackets on right here, and then we can start dropping these in the hole. And then these are the footing pads that will go at the bottom. This side goes up, and then the column will sit on these pads. Alright, so we got the first one in. I want to get a 2x4 to kind of compact this rock down along it to keep it where we want it. Wasn't too awful bad. Anytime you try something different that you're not accustomed to or you don't normally do, it's always a little bit of a challenge. We're gonna physically set these in here, but they're like 160 pounds, so it's not something you'd want to do on an entire building. Ideally, put your forks on, put a strap, put a bolt through. You could hang this perma column from that, set it down there, maneuver it where you want it, and then set it down. That'd be much easier. So we're in a really tight space here. We only have 5 to do, so I'm not too concerned about it, but I would not want to do that all day long on an entire building. So shouldn't take us too long to get all these set. We'll get them all backfilled and this part will be done. Here's the uplift kit that comes with them. You just slide a bolt through there. Those get on there, and that way when the dirt, rock, whatever you put in there sits on that, and that keeps it from pulling out of the ground, even though it would take one heck of a wind to pull this whole thing out of all these out of the ground once they're all connected. But there's rebar from this bracket that runs all the way down to the bottom. So, but I'm pretty pleased. I'm just going to line these up with our marks on our string line all the way down. We should be good to go. Got all 5 of these perma columns completed. I guess my impressions are it's a little more physically demanding. I guess in my opinion, I'm used to doing piers with the wet set brackets, so I guess I'm just used to that. If I had to do a bunch of these, I would get the forks to my skid steer with a strap to hold these up, set them in the hole, then I can move them and not have to hold the weight. But there's only 5 back here, so it wasn't that bad. We had another challenge is that we had this cement here, and where we needed our posts was as close to that cement as we could get, so the center of our hole wasn't exactly where we needed it. So we had to kind of push those uplift anchors into the dirt to get our posts where we wanted them. But I think overall it turned out pretty good. So we got 2 permacolumn deck posts that we're going to do up here to hold our stairs. They're only going into the ground like 36 inches, and then we have the 12-inch footing pads for them. And then we just got to get all this dirt cleaned up, and then the next time I'm down here, we will start framing up this deck. Alright, so we'll have one dry set bracket up there, and the deck will come along here, and then we're going to have like 3 or 4 stairs come down here. So I have these Midwest Perma Column deck brackets, and we're going to put them right there to hold our bottom of our stair stringers. So we'll have posts on top of these, and then our stringers will get screwed into those. Alright, so we got this deck post set, and these are 40 inches. So what I did is I got that one set to where I wanted it. I shot the top of that perma column, and I zeroed it out. I measured that one, which is 40 inches, and then my base, which is 1 3/8 inches. So I set, so what I did is I took 40 plus the thickness of my footing pad, and I adjusted that length on my receiver. So now I know what I need to bring this hole up to, and I need to bring it up maybe like that much. So I'll just use gravel when my dad gets back, pack it down, shoot it with that, and then I know I'll almost be able to get these absolutely perfect. And these are going to receive my stair stringers, so I want them to be as perfect as possible so I don't have to do any shimming. Alright guys, so that's going to be a wrap on step 1 of this deck build. And like I said, I'm down in Missouri, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, where concrete, the amount of concrete I would need to do these in footings is about 1.5 yards. So I guess you could always pour those with bag concrete. But there was only 5 of the 6x6 perma columns, and then 2 of the deck ones that I used in this. So I decided to use the perma columns just because we're in a remote location. Getting concrete would have been a small load charge, and I wanted to try them, to be honest with you. I have never built with these, and I guess in closing I would say I think this is going to work out great for this application. Just being honest with you, I build with concrete piers, wet set brackets, dry set brackets, and that is my preference. However, I live in an area that is booming, and I have a relationship with a concrete company. Emily grew up with the wife of one of the owners of the concrete company. If I did not have that connection where I live, because the economy is so booming, I would not be able to get concrete. Basically, if you call a ready mix plant, the first thing they're going to ask you is if you have an account with them. You can't even get an account unless you're pouring 100 yards a day. Well, obviously I don't do that, so I would not have that option. So if you're just an ordinary guy like me, and you're trying to build yourself a building, or maybe your post frame home, these are a good option for you. It's a little bit more physically demanding, but you can mitigate that with a skid steer and a set of forks and a strap to lift these, set them in, so you can get them all lined up just the way you need to, plumb, square. I backfilled all of these with rock, and it seemed like it worked really well. They're really sturdy. It does relieve the pressure of having a concrete truck coming. When you pour piers with concrete and you're wet setting your brackets, you are under a time crunch. So if you don't do it a lot, it might be difficult for you to do an entire building unless you have 3 or 4 people and you have a well thought out plan. Now we have videos that can help you through that. We show you how we do it. We show you how we prepare, how we pour them, how we mark them, all that stuff. But this is a great option, I think, for somebody that's just building a one-time building, a one-time barndominium. I would not be afraid to build my shop, my house, anything with these. I will say, if you are a typical post frame builder that is used to sticking your posts in the ground, this would not be out of the ordinary for you, other than how much they weigh. But you can pre-attach your columns to them, stand them up, and put these up just like you would normally. So that is going to be a wrap on today's video. This was step 1 of completing this deck, is getting all of our foundation in. Went great. It took us a few hours to dig and set all these. It's just me and my dad, and it's pretty fun. My son helped a little bit, my daughter's helped a little bit. And so the next video on this deck build, we will be framing up the post and beam, and then all of the floor joists and all that kind of good stuff. So stay tuned for that. I'm hoping to get down here next weekend and do that. And then we will have all of the decking, composite decking, and railing to do, and we'll bring that to you as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. As always, we appreciate you watching. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button, share us with your friends, and we will catch you on the next video.